Every single person lies about fat loss. So in today's video, I'm giving you the 10 dark, uncomfortable truths behind losing 25 pounds of fat that no influencer will dare to say. Now, this will piss some people off, but it's exactly what you need to hear if you feel stuck. Let's jump right into it. Okay, dark truth number one, and this is probably the most obvious one, but you're gonna feel hungry and tired a lot of the time. Now, this was probably my biggest mistake going into a fat loss phase many years ago. I thought it was gonna be super easy. I'm like, you know what? I got discipline, I got mental toughness. This is gonna be an absolute cakewalk, no problem at all. But a few weeks in, and even a month later, I was pretty damn humbled because I felt hungry like basically all the time. So my hunger cravings skyrocketed and my energy levels just completely plummeted. But I knew there had to be a better way because there's no way I can keep on with it. There are three big changes that I made that really helped my hunger cravings overall. Number one, I really focused on increasing my protein intake. I'm sure, as you know, the more protein you have, the more full you're going to feel. The second thing I did is I really focused on sleep. So before, I didn't really give a crap about sleeping that much. It was just like, stay up late, wake up early, rinse, repeat. But I really focused on sleep, which helped my hunger cravings. And the third thing I did was I stopped focusing on burning a ton of calories in my workouts because it just made me hungry all the time after, and I'd eat the whole house. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when you're done a high intensity interval workout, or let's say you maybe play hockey or sporting event, when you come home, you want to destroy everything in sight, right? So when I focus on more protein, I got my sleep in, and I stopped focusing on burning a ton of calories, my hunger cravings definitely were a lot more manageable. But the big takeaway for you is you're definitely going to feel hungry in a fat loss phase. It's normal, but there's three things you can do to help combat that. Focus on your protein, get your sleep, and try not to focus too much on those high intensity interval workouts. Okay, dark truth number two, you're going to skip workouts when you're tired. Now, I remember when I was 21 working part-time at the gym, I used to work out 5-6 times per week very consistently. And I can never understand why people couldn't stick to their workouts. Like my clients, they cancel sessions, or I'd see, faces come and go at the gym, but I just couldn't understand why. I'm like, why can't these people just work out consistently? It's not that hard. But then I got a full-time job at the gym, still coaching clients, but just more like 10 hours a day, like working early mornings, late evenings. And I finally got it, like, okay, this is why people can't stay consistent sometimes with their workouts, because I had no energy. Like I'm completely drained, and I actually found myself slipping, and I was only getting like 2-3 workouts in per week compared to like 5 or 6. And I can definitely see how people fall down a slippery slope because you get busy and you get tired. Now, I made two big changes though, even though I was working full time, to make sure I still got my workouts in. Number one, I plan my workouts the week before. So on Sunday, I would pick 4 days a week that I knew I was going to work out, and I'd pick the exact time as well. And once I had that, the second thing I did, I just didn't negotiate with myself. So no matter how tired I was, let's say 8 p.m. at night after a long day training clients at the gym, I would still show up and do it because I made the promise. It's planned out my schedule. I just got to show up and do the work. So the takeaway for you is you're definitely going to skip some workouts when you feel tired, and you're not going to want to work out when you're tired. But the best way to combat that is plan your workouts the week before, the exact days and times if possible. And the second thing, just don't negotiate with yourself, because once you have it planned in your schedule, all you got to do is show up and do the work. Dark truth number three, you're going to want to quit at some point. Now, there'll be some days when you wake up and you're going to be like, why the hell am I still doing this? Like maybe you have stress at your work, maybe stress with your family, you have no time, you feel tired, and you're just hanging on by a thread. And then you're going to try to convince yourself like, okay, now is not the right time, and I'm going to start maybe a few months later and everything will be okay. Spoiler alert, typically speaking, that usually never happens, and people who do quit have a hard time getting back on track a few months down the road. Now, if you feel this, it's very normal, and most of the guys in our program experience this, but I'll tell you this, and this is what I tell our coaching clients. If you only show up when things are good, you're just not going to succeed. Because just think about it in life, right? Like, there's going to be ebbs and flows in your life where things are going great. Like, maybe the stars are aligning. You only work 8 hours. Everything's going good with your family. And you can work out, eat right, no problem at all. And there'll be some days where you're like super stressed. You have long days at work. Maybe you're fighting with your partner. Whatever it is, like maybe no money, whatever it may be. And things are not going to be good. But if you only show up when things are good, then just think of that, right? Like you're going to go up and down and you're never going to get the results you want. So the big takeaway I have for you is you got to learn how to show up even when life sucks, basically. Because if you only show up when life is good, you're just not going to get the result that you want. But if you can show up when things are going bad, how easy is it going to be, to show up when things are going good and the stars are nice and aligned? Dark truth number 4, you're going to want to try different diets when you feel stuck. Now, I remember Sean, he was your prototypical, let's call it diet chaser. So you go from like diet to diet. He went to keto to carnivore to basically trying every single diet you can think of. And don't get me wrong, he saw some results from it, but the problem was he just couldn't sustain the fat off because it just wasn't sustainable for his lifestyle. Now, here's the thing about trying to find the perfect diet. It's like trying to chase a unicorn. It doesn't exist. So what you need to do, and this is what Sean did, you need to find a eating system that best fits your lifestyle. So for Sean, what we did is he's the type of guy who likes to have his beers and his nachos and stuff like that on the weekend. So he just basically plug and play our weekend warrior system. We set up his calories and his protein, and all of a sudden, boom, the fat just melted off. We basically lower the calories like Monday through Friday to give him more higher calorie days on this Saturday and Sunday. So it's not about trying to find the perfect diet, and you're going to have that temptation to do it when you feel stuck. I totally get it. What it's about is finding that nutrition system that best fits your lifestyle and just follow through with it. Now, if you're not sure what eating system is best for you, we made a free quiz you can grab in the comments, fill it out, and I'll personally get back to you and I'll let you know what eating style is going to be best for you. That we can shred fat and actually keep it off for life this time around. Dark truth number 5, you're going to try different workout styles when you're stuck. So very similar to the nutrition thing. Now, though, you're probably going to want to change workouts and you're going to look for the perfect workout split. I can tell you firsthand, I was that guy. I was always changing programs. Like I had like an upper lower split, and I tried like a push pull leg split. And I really just tried to optimize everything the best I could. But in reality, there's no such thing as a perfect workout split. Just like nutrition, you have to pick something that best fits your lifestyle in terms of how many days you do and what you enjoy doing. Now, I'll say this. There's such thing as like optimal workouts in a sense, meaning if you're trying to shred belly fat and have that ripped, kind of chiseled physique look, you definitely don't want to focus too much on cardio. And I made so many videos on that. So if you want to, go through my channel, scroll through on that. But basically you want to focus on weights for sure. But I don't want you to obsess about weights is what I'm trying to say. So whether you're like an upper lower split or a full body split or like a push pull leg split or a bro split, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And your big takeaway here is you want to find 3 to 5 days that you can lift weights throughout the week and supplement that with walking the best you can. If you do that, I guarantee you it doesn't matter which workout split you do. So don't obsess over that because that's what I like to call majoring in the minors. Dark truth number 6, you might be doing everything right, but still you might see 0 to little progress. Now, I remember my mid-20s, I was absolutely dialed in, like counting calories, protein, workouts dialed in, sleep, everything you can think of. But I did that for like a few weeks or even a month, and I barely saw any change in my physique. And as you can imagine, I was pretty damn frustrated, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I made one big shift, though, that changed everything. You know what the big shift was? It was patience. So instead of focusing on, what it looked like, the number of the scale, and all of that, I was like, let me do this for a couple months and let's see what I look like after a few months. So once I made that shift to just give it more time, guess what happened? A few weeks later, fat started melting off and I saw the physique that I wanted. So what your big takeaway here is, and what I recommend doing, really try to focus on process-driven goals. Just control what you can control, opposed to more results-oriented goals, like, obsessing about the number of the scale or how you look, et cetera, et cetera. If you can just focus on what you control, like, how much protein you're getting, your sleep, your calories, your workouts, stuff like that, eventually it's going to lead to those results oriented goals that you do have. Now, there is a time and place, right, that you might have to change things up. Like if you're absolutely stuck in the same thing over and over again, then yeah, you don't want to ram your head through a wall. Like I've been a Bills fan. They've been the definition of mediocrity in the mid-2000s for 17 years. That's not what you want to do. Like when something's off, you want to try to change it, right? But try to thread the needle. If you're doing the right stuff, continue doing it. But obviously have that second thought, like, okay, is something stepping out right here? I might have to change things up. And that's where you might have to do a little trial and error. But overall, focus on the process-oriented goals opposed to the results-oriented goals. Dark truth number 7, and don't shoot me for this, but you're going to blame your age, genetics, or your metabolism at some point. Now, a few weeks back, I did an Instagram poll, and the question I asked my audience was, what age do you think your metabolism really starts to slow down at? So really meaning like very noticeably slowing down at. And what do you think the answer is? Like, I'll give you 5-10 seconds. Comment below what number or what age you think your metabolism really slows down at. The answer is it's 60 plus. So there's a meta-analysis research paper, which is a big-ass study, which is very legit, that show between 20 to 60 years of age, your metabolism actually really doesn't slow down that much. And where it really starts to slow down is after 60 years old. Point being, you can still get fantastic results whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 55. I'll even show you a few before or after pictures to show you it's very possible. Now, you definitely can mess up your metabolism, and that's a video I made before, so I can maybe link that above or just kind of search it in my channel. But point being, if you're dialed in, you can still absolutely shred fat at 40, 50, 55, no matter what age you're at. So your big takeaway here is don't blame your metabolism when something's off or your age. Now, your genetics, that plays obviously a little bit of a role. Not every single person is going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like, that's just the way it's going to be. But if you're stuck, there's just a better chance and a very good chance something is off with your mindset, your training, or your nutrition, or maybe a little bit of both, and has little to do with your age, your metabolism, or even your genetics. Dark truth number 8, you're going to get bored doing the same thing over and over again. Now, one of my biggest mistakes as a fitness coach when I was younger is I always change things up with my clients. So like different foods every single day I would tell them to eat, different workouts, different programs, different structures. I was changing every single thing that you can think of. And guess what? They didn't get great results. Who would have thought, right? So I really didn't practice what I preach because like obviously for myself as a guy working out back then, I did things pretty similar with my eating and my training. And that's what they taught me in school as well as a personal trainer is you generally want to keep things pretty structured and organized, at least for a period of time. And then when I started making the shift to, okay, let's simplify things. Let's do similar movements for a duration of time. Let's eat the same foods 80% of the time and have the 20% flexibility. And guess what happened? They start getting better results. Mind blown, right? So your big takeaway is you definitely want to thread the needle of, not doing the same thing over and over again to the point where you're bored and want to quit and you see no results, but you definitely want to make sure you are doing those stable movements and get strong with them. And you want to make sure you're trying to have similar foods at least 80% of the time. What I love to do in terms of like workouts, I find this is a great balance that like we do with our guys. The first 4 exercises of each day, so let's say it's like an upper lower split. The first 4 exercises, let's say on Monday, we'll do those for like 4 to 6 weeks. And the other 2 or 3, we'll change every single workout. That way you get strong with the first 4 movements over the course of like 6 weeks. And the other 2 to 3, it's always different. So you have a good mix of getting strong with the same movements, but at the same time, you have a couple other different exercises you can mix in for variety. So your takeaway here, do the same things over and over again, relatively speaking, but obviously don't do it to the point where you're completely bored to death. Dark truth number 9, you're going to get some minor injuries along the way. Now, there's 2 polarizing sides to this. You got one side arguing that lifting weights is the safest thing that you can do for your body. And on the other side, you have people saying, I'm not going to work out because I don't want to get injured and I'm just not going to lift weights. After lifting weights for 20 years and coaching clients for over 15 years, I can tell you this. It's somewhere in the middle. It's closer to the, lifting weights is one of the best things you can do for your body. But at the same time, you're definitely going to get some bumps and bruises along the way, assuming you're training, 3, 4, 5 times a week with any level of intensity. Now, what type of injuries you typically get is very different than like a sport, for example. Like the injuries that you're going to get in a weight room, and I'm sure you probably know if you're watching this, if you worked out, it's more overuse injuries with a combination maybe a poor form. Right? For me, it's like my tendons, like I do a shitload of bicep curls, like, 50 pounds. I just beat up my tendons. So they're a little bit worn down right now. I'm just being an asshole by doing that. But it's stuff like that. Or obviously, as you know, like you're around the back in a deadlift with a lot of reps. That's going to leave some wear and tear in the lower back. Very rarely are you going to squat and tear an ACL. Like if you do that, that's pretty impressive. But most people have more of the overuse injuries combined with the, the poor technique. So your takeaway here, I'm still going to argue that lifting weights is one of the best things you can do for your body for sure, if not the best. You're definitely going to run into some bumps and bruises along the way. But just know those bumps and bruises you get, like let's say an overused tendon issue or maybe a shoulder issue or whatever it may be, far outweighs being weak. If you're weak and you're getting older, that's definitely one of the most dangerous things that you can do. So I'd rather have some bumps and bruises with my tendons opposed to just being like weak at 60, 70 years old, especially as we age. So obviously you can train smart, and like for myself, I've never had any serious injuries before. Like I said, just the minor stuff. But just know you want to make sure you're training smart and minimize it the best you can. But you will get some stuff along the way, assuming you're training for 10, 20, 30 years. And like I said, that you have some level of moderate intensity. Dark truth number 10, you're going to want to hide when you start getting off track. Now, I can tell you in our coaching program, I can tell you which members are crushing it without even looking at their weight or their body composition. The ones who show up at the group calls and the ones that send their 2 check-ins in during the week on time are the ones who are crushing it. The ones who don't show up the calls and maybe don't send their check-ins in on time, that's when I know like they're probably struggling a little bit, and I got to intervene and really develop a game plan for them. Like think of it yourself, right? Like when things are going well, let's say your bank account, you want to check your bank account. It's a fun day, you deposit some money, you're happy, everything's going good. When your bank account's low, no one wants to check your bank account, right? It kind of sucks. It puts you in a bad mood and you just don't want to deal with it. Well, the big takeaway I have for you here is when things get bad, which they will eventually at some point in terms of falling off track, you want to still make sure you're showing up. Whether it's like, having an accountability buddy, whether it's having a coach, whether it's even just still doing your workout, even though you miss, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's Thursday, like salvage the week, do the Thursday, Friday, show up the best you can, because if you hide from it, it only gets worse, right? Like if you don't check your bank account when you're in debt, it's going to get worse because it's only going to get lower, where you want to kind of look at the bank account, identify the problem, and then attack it straight on. Hope that makes sense. So the reason I did this video is I think a lot of times fitness influencers, coaches, whatever you want to call it, Instagram people these days, I think a lot of times we paint a very rosy picture on fat loss looks, right? Like lose 30 pounds of fat in 3 months and you're going to look sexy as hell or shredded, which is obviously very true. You can definitely get there. We've had many people who have done that. But I just kind of want to really show the dark side of losing fat as well. And it's not as easy as some people say. And if you just have those expectations going into it, knowing, okay, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to achieve my goal, opposed to going into it saying like, okay, everything's going to be easy. I'm just going to crush it 30 pounds. Guarantee if you do, the first part I said, you have those expectations. When things get tough, you're going to stay on track because you're going to battle adversity. But if you didn't have those expectations, when adversity pops up, you're going to fall off track right away, and you're not going to know how to get back up. Hope this video helped. And remember, like I said, if you want that free quiz to tell you what eating style is best for you, it's been a hit so far. Everyone's loving it. Get it down below, fill it out. It's 100% free. And I'll get back to you personally and let you know whether you should be doing Eat Like a King or Weekend Warrior, and I'll explain and teach those exact methods to you during the email. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.